Today, we're going to talk about T3. This is the hormone that gets all the fanfare, all the celebration, and you hear me talk about it a lot because T3, free T3, is the form that our cells can use. And every cell in the entire body has a free T3 thyroid receptor on it. So, if you're experiencing any type of thyroid symptom, it's a pretty good indication that your free T3 may be low or might not be getting into the cells. So, those are the things I want to talk about today and talk about reasons why that might be happening. So, as a quick recap, the way the thyroid gland works is we have a gland in our brain, the pituitary gland, that sends a message to the thyroid. That's called thyroid stimulating hormone. That tells the thyroid to make T4, four iodines and a protein. Now, T4 can't be used by the cells. So that goes into the liver and the gut, comes out T3. That's the form our cells can use. That's the form that makes us feel fantastic. Now, the biggest place that I see women break down is in that conversion from T4 to T3. That can happen for a lot of reasons. Remember, the bulk of that happens in the liver. So, the biggest reason that that happens is because of infection. That can be infections anywhere in the body, but infections in the gut specifically will impair liver function and will also impair the ability of T4 to convert to T3. Another thing that happens when you have infections in the body, again, specifically infections in the gut, is it will cause the liver to convert that T4 into a form of T3 that's called reverse T3. So it's essentially the idea of the free T3, but it's backwards. So one of the molecules is converted backwards, so it can't be used by the cell. Now that reverse T3 will never get into the cells. It will cause issues with absorption. It'll cause issues with all of the thyroid symptoms that you're having because it's not being absorbed or can't be absorbed by the cells. I see this happen frequently with women who are having, they may have normal thyroid labs. Their free T3 might come up normal, but they're having a lot of thyroid symptoms. And then when we go and check the reverse T3, that number frequently is really high. So, what that means is the liver is taking that T4, converting it into reverse T3, which is not usable by the cells. So, you still have thyroid symptoms. And in cases like this, the TSH can still be normal. The free T4 can still be normal. The free T3 is usually on the lower end, but it might be in the normal range. But then that reverse T3 will be through the roof. So if you've had a thyroid condition for a long time and you're having symptoms still and you haven't had reverse T3 checked, ask to get that checked. I'll drop a link with this video that has a calculator to see how your free T3 to reverse T3 ratio looks. Because if you're making more reverse T3 than free T3, you're going to have a lot of symptoms. You're going to feel really icky. So that calculator is really helpful if your labs have the free T3 reading and the reverse T3 reading. And you can read more on that link, but we like to see that ratio above 20. So use that if you have those readings. If you haven't had a reverse T3 test done, that's okay. We still want to investigate why that free T3 is not getting converted appropriately. Now, the best way to know if your free T3 is actually getting into the cells is by how you feel. So that's the obvious reason. If you're having a lot of thyroid symptoms, and those are things like anxiety, weight gain, body fat, depression, constipation, exhaustion, hair loss, all of those sneaky little thyroid things, if those are happening and your labs are normal, well, there's one way that we can see if the T3 is actually getting into the cells, and that's by taking your temperature. This is the easiest, most effective way to see how your cells are absorbing T3. So, how you do that is you get a digital thermometer, the oral kind, put it next to your bed, and then when you wake up in the morning, put it under your tongue, check your temperature. So, we like to see that above 97.8, and you'll want to do this over several weeks' time. If you don't do it every day, do it maybe a couple times a week, and then we're going to average the number. Now, be aware if you are having your period, when you ovulate, the temperature will rise sometimes up to a degree. So just know that that's normal. That's awesome. It tells us that you're ovulating, that you're fertile. So you want to check your temperatures over a month's time so we can average those numbers and see what your levels are doing. It's very common for women to come to me with normal thyroid labs and temperatures sometimes in the 95s and 96s. I've seen temperatures that low. So once we can start investigating why T4 is not becoming T3, and we can find those sneaky infections or problems with the liver that are preventing that conversion, well, what we see is that the temperature starts to come up and you'll start to feel better. The weight will start to fall off, the symptoms will disappear, and we will have proof because the temperature will increase. So, those are a couple of tips, ways that we can see if the T3 is working. Go ahead, test out your temperature. You can send me the number. I'm always curious to know what your waking temp is like. Also, I'm going to link for my masterclass that talks more about the testing that I use to find out if your liver is converting the T4 to T3 and if there's anything going on in your gut that's preventing it. So take your temperature, check out the masterclass, and drop any questions you have below. All right, I'll talk to you soon.